because, life started in the sea. We all came from there, and so it's very
Yeah.
meaningful for me. But yeah, I'm not usually one to jump into the ocean, but in this instance, I was ready to go. And it
Were
was just
you?
really challenging being ready to like you see this animal struggling and you want to go and
Mm.
help, and then authorities are telling you, no, you can't go help, like and
That's
it
what I,
just got very confusing and it it, it
it,
was very hard.
yeah, it really is. I'm trying to encourage young people to go get their degree
Hmm.
because it would have been easier to take the euthanization local. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When we were like, we had to have someone else tell us. And so, yeah, that's where I was heading 30 years ago. They were going to send me through college, and I had a bad wreck and a head injury. So I just try to encourage young people now, you know. And we have Noah right here.
Yeah.
They have the college right here. So hopefully we can get more young people. I mean, it's a hell of a way to do it, but I hope we can get more young people interested. And that would be a big help.
Well, and
So,
with that goal in mind, Shalara has
yeah.
joined us, and I think we can get started.
Oh, good. Oh, it did say it's being recorded. Oh, dear.
I,
There she
I
is.
feel like Karina and I got to introduce ourselves this morning. And so I'd actually really like to open up the floor this evening to other people to kind of weigh in. I think I kind of got to introduce myself. I do not have experience in whale rescue, but I have experience in organizing people and just sort of
Oh,
connecting
good.
government things and volunteers and stuff like that.
Oh,
So I guess that's kind of where I see myself fitting in here. Um,
mm-hmm.
I do want to provide a little structure to the meeting because I sort of intentionally left it at the 40-minute limit because I don't want everyone to have to stay here forever. So if we could go around and introduce ourselves, I'd really appreciate that. You don't have to turn on your camera if you don't want to, but I really want to give you a chance to let everybody know who you are, kind of what your experience is. If it's whatever feels relevant at the moment. I've had a lot of people reach out with some amazing qualifications. I'd like to see your face for the first time, most of you. Yeah, so what's the best way to do this? I don't know if it's all in the same order. Karina, do you want to do a quick intro and we'll go from there?
Sure. My name is Karina Ives. I am an Air Force veteran. I have a background in business management, and Shalar and I are currently building our own business. When this event occurred, and we realized that there was a really big need that we saw, and we were going to try and do our best to fill it. So here we are. We just recently moved back to Washington after being, I'm not going to age myself, way too many years in Texas. It's so good to be home. So
Yeah.
um, that's who I am.
Hi.
Tori, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Tori. I live in Walport and I'm retired. And I'm trying to do what you told us you were doing, trying to organize. Don't know how organized I am, but I was headed, like I was telling Karina, I was headed to college 30 years ago. Noah was going to put me through college. And then I had a bad car wreck and a bad head injury. So um, I'm just here to try to get people that can physically do stuff. I would like to help get them organized to get to the same goal, because we just didn't have the organization because we're just they're just volunteers. So
Mhm.
that's what only I'm taking notes for a couple of the guys in town. Our surf shop is willing for you to take anything you need. And another retired fireman he has a contracting business, but he's thinking about starting something out in the ocean with rescue. So I'm going to take notes for them
Yeah.
because they couldn't make it on.
And you said they had life jackets and stuff that they were willing to
Oh
donate for
yeah,
rescues and stuff too, right?
to borrow because
Yeah.
he rents his
Or
stuff
yeah,
out, but
borrow. Yeah.
he's not going to charge you guys. But he has a Zodiac, and he has a couple other watercrafts, but I couldn't catch the picture he just sent. But yeah, they're really willing, and nobody. I don't think a lot of us realize the need, and that we didn't have a lot. I think, do we have one Oregon rescue person? That's what I heard.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's
So,
not even a rescue person, but
oh,
one full-time employee for the marine mammal process. I don't know the right words, but
yeah.
okay.
But yeah.
Jim, were you done? Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
done.
Jim, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Jim Seabury. I live here in McMinnville. I'm about 45 minutes away from Lincoln City, so I'm not too far away from the beach. I don't have any rescue background. I'm the numbers and the fix it guy. I've been in accounting for several years, and I used to do restaurant management before that. And I was always sent out to fix other stores and stuff. So that's kind of where I'm hoping I can lend my expertise is coming up with ways of moving things that are large and figuring out how to do it safely.
Awesome. Carol, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, sorry I was on mute. Carol Funk. I live in Hillsborough. I work doing cancer patients remotely. I do for doing staging cancer and abstracting for research. I've done a lot of jobs, baking, worked in a five-star restaurant all my life. So I'm not sure what I can do to help, but I volunteered for other organizations and I helped with the websites. Not my favorite, but if nobody else would step up, I would help.
Okay,
I
awesome.
can't build them, but I was like, I would download things for our upload, whichever they wanted.
Right, right. Nice. Do I remember correctly? You're a nurse? Is that
No, I
okay?
do. So my work is remote and I
Okay.
do abstracting and staging cancer all day.
Okay.
So I'm working on a computer all day. That's all I do is computer.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, nice to meet you. Thank you. How
And
about
this is
Jan Wall?
Toby.
Oh,
Say hi, Toby.
Hi, I'm Jan Walsh. I am a business analyst by trade. I could probably help with some website stuff too. I'm willing to do almost anything. So I have a lifelong love of all animals, but whales are really close to my heart. And so I feel guilty that when the call first came out to come try to help the whale, I saw um messages that said they were turning people away, and I'm in Newport. I could have driven to Yachats easily. I
mhm.
couldn't bear to look at it. It really broke my heart, and I pretty much just buried my head for a couple of days until I knew what happened. But I can't do that again. And I would do whatever. I mean, if I need to, I have no special skills. I could move things with my car. I could move people. I could pour water. I could do whatever it is that I possibly, I mean, I'll do anything that's of use to the group. So
Nice. Thank you.
yeah.
Uh, yeah, and honestly, like I don't like I'm sort of organizing stuff just to be clear. Like I can't lift a whale. Like I can lift a bucket of water, right? So I had the same kind of impulse. I was like, I don't know what to do, but they said they need people. And so I do think a lot of what we need are just educated volunteers up and down the coast to be able to help with that immediate response. So thank you. Um, any volunteers for next or
I'll go next. I'm Jerry Hoth. I'm actually Jan Walsh's sister. We share a love of animals and many other things, but my background is in marketing, and so I have skills to help with communication and also I'm a graphic designer. I'm a veteran. My husband is a veteran of the Coast Guard, so I have a lot of experience. My husband has experience with Coast Guard things. He actually was part of a rescue a long time ago when he was in Coos Bay, unsuccessful as well, but he had a lot of passion for trying to help save the whale. Yeah, just I think like just wanted to say thank you for organizing this and trying to find a way to help good people come together and get these sentient beings back into the water where they belong.
absolutely. Thank you. So this name says HMC.
Hi, yes,
Hi.
that's me. It's Heather McTammany.
Okay.
I live in Glen Eden Beach, and I feel like the same qualifications as Jan. Like I would just show up, I could drive things around. I'm not an EMT or anything like that. I'm pretty able-bodied. I could lift things, not an entire whale, but pull or whatever. I could also bring some friends with me. yeah, to training too. I'm definitely willing to go to hours of trainings on entanglements or whatever. I'm just willing to show up. I have 2 life jackets, willing to get buckets or whatever else. Just, yeah, very grateful
Awesome.
for, yeah.
Thank you. So, Patty Blaylock.
Hey, yes. Hi. Actually, it's Batsold. I don't know. I got married a few years ago,
Oh,
but it's still my old name. Anyway,
I didn't get the update.
me and my husband are both interested. He's like Jim, I think it was. He's a real fix-it kind of guy. We both would love to learn some of the hands-on with the animal, assisting the professionals or whatever. But I think I got my strong skills is more administrative, maybe logistical type of stuff. I can use a walkie-talkie or a ham radio if needed. So we're just like most everyone else, we're just really to where we're needed, whatever
Awesome.
we can do to help, we would like to be there
Awesome. Thank
and
you.
trained and trained to know, excuse me, what we're doing.
Okay. Georgiana? I'm going to say it wrong. Sorry. Oh, you're still on mute. Let me. If I not hearing you yet.
Hi, can you hear me now?
There we go. Okay.
Sorry, I'm doing it through my phone. So my name is Georgiana Gatchel. I live in South Carolina, but I read about Hope and cried for days and was really mad that I couldn't drive out there. But that got me to researching and reading and figuring out. I'm currently in school for forestry and conservation at OSU. And I hope to eventually open up my own hatchery for different purposes. I want to actually save and increase the population of these southern resident killer whales in Puget Sound. But I love all whales. I love marine mammals. And I've already reached out to a couple people that do engineered inflatables and lift bags. I have email contacts. We've been talking back and forth. So although I can't physically be there, we're hoping to move out there in a couple of years to Washington. I would gladly, if there's something you guys need on this coast, I would gladly arrange transportation, do fundraisers, research, back end of the house kind of stuff, make phone calls, whatever you need. So I'm just on board for whatever, just so that this doesn't ever happen again because it's devastating.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. That's amazing. Thank you so much for your support. I absolutely appreciate the help from afar and yeah.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah. How about Jamie? Jamie Min?
Yes, hello. Hey, I am in the Lincoln City area mostly. So just north of y'all and Waldport and Bandon and all those places. My extent of experience is like next to nothing and just discovering mammals on the beach that have been beached, mostly sea lions, actually only sea lions, and not knowing what to do. And so I want to be one of those who knows, is trained what to do, besides calling the wildlife or the police. And my expertise is really in the area of anything creative, organizing, operations. Somebody mentioned website stuff. I'm not an expert, but I've created my own websites, so I know how to get around. But event planning too. So hopefully I can contribute in a way that if we need help getting more volunteers or more people trained, I can help do that organization. And I also have a couple of contacts that may come useful. My neighbor is on the city council at Lincoln City, so if there's connections with council people, that might be a thing. And I have a friend in the Seattle area. Her daughter works with the whales in that area. I can't remember exactly where, but she might be a resource as well.
Okay, great. Awesome. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks
Is
for
there-
doing this, by the
Oh,
way. I
yes,
really
thank you.
appreciate it.
Ellie?
Hi.
Did I say it
I'm
right?
not used to using Zoom. Hopefully I'm not too loud.
Okay. You sound great.
I'm on my phone. So I followed Hope's experience from the start to the end and just was really passionate about it. I live in Eugene. Um, and all the sciences that I took were all different types of, biology. I actually took Carrie Newell's course at LCC, and that was like 20 years ago. I'm 48. I don't have a career or degree that I can be adding to the list here, but I'm probably more of a person who can spread a lot of information online. I really am passionate about bringing people together and community process and conflict resolution and probably just a whole lot of stuff that like a very compassionate person who's had a lot of experience in community, intentional communities, and facilitated, meetings with people and learning diversity and learning what's possible if we can come together, and sort of like an optimistic person who wants to really build vision. And I have a little more free time than most people because I have a brain injury and some other things. So I actually don't work, but I have a lot of time to do things online. And not sure what else to say, but
Okay.
I'm happy to be
Yeah.
here.
That's awesome. I really appreciate you being here and being willing to donate your time and everything.
Yeah, I live in Eugene. I've lived here my whole life, and so I've been to Yachats a million times.
Yeah. Nice. How about Austin? Do you want to introduce yourself? If you are, oh, maybe you can't talk right
You're
now.
on mute.
Yeah.
Hello.
There
You
we
hear
go.
me?
Yes.
All right. I'm Austin. I got to the scene about 12:30 a.m. on Sunday morning and spent the next 48 hours there with Pickles or Hope or whatever you would like to call the whale. And would not like to experience something quite that devastating ever again in my life.
Yeah.
I have a background in originally in environmental engineering. I used to do water quality models for the state of Missouri. I don't really do that anymore, but I do have from that experience in thinking about water scientifically and hydrologics scientifically. I'm somewhat familiar with how government agencies work and don't work, and can work with them. And I'm currently a commercial mushroom forager that also lives on a community farm, which affords me greater free time than most, and greater flexibility than most. And I spend a great deal of time on the coast. I live between Monroe and LC. And yeah, I spend a lot of time over there and plan to I can be physically present quickly, and I would like to help figure out how we can change the laws that were also um, so much important in slowing down the response,
Right.
according to the vet that I spoke to.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there will be a lot of discussion about that. I want to say I appreciate you. I can't imagine how emotional that was. I was only there for a brief, very confusing time, and yeah. I'm sorry for everything you went through. I'm glad you're here. I appreciate you being here. And yeah, I think we all want to change what happened. First, like and foremost, with the response time, right? Volunteers were there much faster,
Yeah,
but my understanding is the whale was reported at 2 p.m., something like that.
this is extensively. It's 2 p.m.
Yeah,
I mean, Amy reported it by 4, so that's the absolute latest.
yeah,
And Amy was very adamant that she was not the first.
yeah. So, and I do feel like the options for rescue significantly stay. You have so many more choices if you are there quickly. So a lot of what I think
Oh,
went
thanks
wrong
for
has
that.
to do with timing.
I think that all of us that spent the night on Sunday morning and Saturday night with Pickles, it was clear that that first morning, 9:30 a.m. high tide, that was our last opportunity to get that whale back
Absolutely.
in there.
Yeah.
Every one of us, that was apparent. And frankly, to see that all it took when they finally showed up was a couple of anchors and some rope, and we had such a great. I mean, we had perfect tides. It was a clear night. I don't know if it's reported
It
that we
was.
had bad weather. It was a perfectly clear night until about 10 a.m.
Right.
Um,
Right. Yeah. It was. It's crazy to me, the delays and the possible different outcomes, if that hadn't happened, honestly.
I,
So
I,
yeah, I think that's a
I
lesson we all need to carry forever through this. So thank you for sharing. Yeah, we'll definitely talk more. Let's keep going through introductions. Monica? Yep, you are on mute. Still waiting. Not yet. It's the mobile phones. They
So
have trouble.
usually on the bottom left, there's like a little video
There we
camera and a
go.
little
I
mic.
think she got
Can
it.
you hear me?
There you go.
Yes.
All right, good. Hi, my name is Monica Olson. I'll just keep this short and sweet. I'm a rebel rousing grassroots political.
Did we freeze?
think so.
Yeah. When she comes back, we're gonna have her finish her introduction because I definitely want to hear it.
Any marine experience,
Okay.
but I
Monica, your signal cut out.
my signal cut out.
Your signal cut out. I'm sorry. You're rebel rousing, and then it froze.
Oh,
Oh, oh.
Technology.
Yeah. I'm open to suggestions.
Maybe just an intro in the chat.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, type it out because maybe that your service is getting unhappy.
Yeah. Maybe that's why she wanted to keep it brief. Um, Monica cut out again. I'm so sorry.
can you hear me now?
Yes. And then I think I lost you.
And then she went away.
Jenny, I'm gonna have you go next if that's okay. No? I see you unmute. Okay. Does anybody want to go next out of the people who don't have their cameras on? Would you like to speak? No?
I'm not sure if my phone unmuted. I am on a phone,
Okay.
so
Yeah. Valerie, right?
Sure. Sure. I'm trying to get this camera going.
Okay.
There we go. Hi.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Valerie. I live in Depot Bay. I'm originally from Idaho. I've got a pretty extensive background in wildlife rehab and release, working primarily with mammals, but including cougars and bears. Have a strong interest and background in human wildlife conflict resolution. And when I moved over here to the coast several years ago, I wanted to apply what I had learned with resolving conflict with humans' conflict with wildlife to marine animals. And so the idea of that is that, different animals, they get into trouble because of the activities of people. And it sounds like with this particular whale, um, that's maybe what helped start it, was getting entangled in some gear. So I have a strong interest in the number of incidents that actually do happen up and down the coast. I know that I saw some recent posts on Facebook from NOAA's website talking about whale entanglements, I think it was. But when I've actually looked at the data, generally the data is a lot higher. So I'm really interested in, I don't do rehab anymore. And obviously, I'm not going to think about rehabbing a whale. But I am really interested in the law, policy, and not only state and federal statutes, but also administrative policy and how those things all come together. I know there's been a lot of talk too about whether or not rescue efforts for a whale are illegal under Oregon's rehabilitation statute that says you can't rehabilitate marine mammals.
Yeah.
My first, gut instinct is that doesn't apply. It's different.
Right.
But I think I'd volunteered to maybe do some more research on that as well. So I'm currently a paralegal by trade. So I do have access to legal databases and am fairly practiced with doing legal research and that sort of thing. So anyway, that's me.
Awesome. I do have a question for you about the Good Samaritan Clause portion of the Marine Mammal Protection Act, and whether that's sort of something, an umbrella we would fall under that would protect us from that Oregon law portion that
well, and again, I don't think the Oregon rehabilitation part about you can't rehab marine mammals has anything to do with rescue efforts, because
I agree.
The whole idea of rehabilitation is that you take an animal from a spot and contain it somewhere else.
Hospitalize it somehow.
And then you do what you need to do, and then you transport it again for release. And it's just not apples to apples. And so even if somebody tries to say that we can't do that because of that statute, I think there'd be a strong argument that it doesn't apply.
Okay.
Just because the field of wildlife rehabilitation is so well established. And so it's what does rehabilitation normally mean under professional terms? And so I don't think what happens on the beach applies. Now, as far as the Good Samaritan part, and I still need to do some more research on that, what I'm wondering is, I think that those initial efforts, you're probably exempted, from, as long as you're not doing something that's obviously distressing to the whale, that's going to cause permanent harm and injury and is unwarranted. But I'm not quite sure, once the authorities show up, if then they instruct you that you can't do it anymore, if then the Good Samaritan exemption falls away.
Mm-hmm. Austin, did you have something to weigh in on?
Yeah. Yes. So that specific law, I spoke with there was 2 vets on scene that were from Southern California. And I spoke with them about that law quite a bit, and they were very emphatic that law was damaging to this case, not in the sense that what we were doing was illegal and unallowed. The law does require that they reach out to, I believe, a federal marine board, which did slow things down slightly, but that was not the major issue. What the vets wanted me to understand was that with that law in place, that is essentially the reason why, when you look at the state of Oregon, we don't have anyone here who has a level 4 or 5 whale entanglement rating. So no one in the state of Oregon legally can disentangle a whale according to federal law. And that is because we have this law in the books, and so there's no facilities here. And so just for practical reasons, anyone who works in this field, anyone who's actually an expert here is going to be getting a job in Washington, or getting a job in California, or getting a job in British Columbia, or getting a job on the East Coast, because that's where these facilities exist, and that's where the work exists. And
Yeah.
so that's why we had to have experts come down from Washington, which added to the time immensely.
Well, I'm still not really clear on the nexus between the Oregon state statute that prohibits the rehabilitation of marine mammals and the ability of someone to go out in the field and disentangle a whale. I really don't think that.
I do
I think there's
that
other factors.
I think we could fund it separately and we wouldn't necessarily have to look at it that way. And there'd be other ways to fund a full-time person with those actual qualifications in the state. But the reason nobody with those qualifications currently lives in the state is because there is no job for that person to be paid to live in the state because there's no facility.
Right,
Sure.
that makes sense.
And that just that gets into like program priorities.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I had started a doctoral program and I had and I abandoned it because it was like my dissertation was taking forever. But one of the things that I did was go through and analyze over 20,000 records over gosh knows how many years of what they call stranding data, which are all these reports. Like this particular whale is going to be on the stranding report. The baby seals, the seal pups are on the stranding reports. And I just saw such a high incidence. Well, I'm not going to talk about everything else I saw in there, but of animals that were entangled, whales, seals, and sea lions. But that's, I guess, my bottom line here. That is the primary focus of the one paid employee here in Oregon for the network.
Yes. Yes.
And volunteers go out and respond to calls because he can't respond to all calls, and post signs and tell the public to stay away. And then whatever else, comes up from that. Back to that Oregon statute, though, that prohibits the rehabilitation of marine mammals. Obviously, they allow some exemptions because the aquarium has taken in the northern fur seals that they'll pick up off the beach. And has done what they could do. I don't know that they've ever had a successful case where they've been able to release. Maybe they've transferred or maybe it died. But obviously, NOAA talks to Oregon Fish and Wildlife and has allowed some kind of exemption for, in those cases, for them to be able to do something with the seals, the northern fur seals.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I don't think that Oregon rehab statute has any teeth in it that impacts whale rescue efforts on a beach.
Right. Just the availability of professionals to oversee it, which is, I think, what's going to make it important for the MMPA sort of Good Samaritan protections is that professional oversight and things like that. Like, I don't know, like you said, there's no level for disentangling volunteers or rescue volunteers in Oregon. So that'll be interesting to see how that shakes out, both the paperwork side of it and the availability of people.
Well, and then you also have the control side of it.
In what way?
Well, for an agency to allow a grassroots community effort to rescue a whale that they just supervise or that they're on site.
Right. So, and that's where, so I lived in Texas for a long time and we used to go to South Padre Island a lot to a place called Sea Turtle Inc. And it used to be that the government paid for monitoring of the sea turtles on the island. And then eventually Sea Turtle Inc. Started rescuing the shock turtles in the cold. And then they started monitoring the nests and kind of protecting the nests. And they did such a great job that the government actually backed off, and the government does help fund them a little bit, although I think they're self-funded entirely now. But If you do a good job, they will just back off. It's an expense they don't want, right? So if we're
Right.
doing something humane successfully, or with all the proper safety protocols, which is why I really want to use search and rescue and stuff as a sort of baseline for operations, because you have people in the ocean, right? We don't want to start rescuing whales, not people. Like we don't
Right.
want people to become the next issue. Obviously, everyone, agrees with that. So I do feel like if we go about it the right way, there's already models there for the government to say, hey, you know what? Like, you're doing this the right way, take it off our plate.
Oh,
So
I agree. And I think that, the squeaky wheel gets the grease.
mhm. Yeah.
So it's just about being persistent and insisting. And, my position is if the government's not going to do it, then step
Right.
aside.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that was, I think, a lot of people's feelings on Sunday. If you're not going to do anything, why are you stopping other people who want to try?
I think the issue was perhaps that, and I don't know what to do, because even with all my years of experience doing things, I don't know what to do. But
right.
everybody needed some direction.
Absolutely.
I mean, just trying to do.
Training. Yeah.
Although I would say that probably some of the people who were there have maybe a better mechanically inclined brain than I do, and could maybe visualize, what needed to be done to try to get the whale moving as the water came in. But
right.
Anyway, some of these other ideas that are coming up about the lifts and that sort of thing, I think will be really, really helpful.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot of good minds, but
thank you. That was a good discussion.
Sorry.
No, sorries. I appreciate you just sharing your brain. Thank you. Elle, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi. My name is Elle. I'm 28. I don't really have a lot of background in anything. I graduated in marketing back in 2019, but that's not been put to use ever since I became a mother. I probably only have passion to bring. I'm a very value animals over people type of person, to be completely honest with you guys, especially after witnessing what the world has kind of done to itself over the past few years. Not to get political. I don't have much to say apart from the fact that as soon as I was informed of that post that Amy made public on Facebook, I immediately dropped everything. Having no background in animal rescue whatsoever, I dropped everything. I asked my husband, hey, can we go help this out? And he's like, what are you going to do? Push the whale? And I'm like, yeah, if I have to, I will.
Yeah.
And so I got there at around 11:30 at night on Saturday, and I stayed with Pickles. And it's very frustrating to see, very heartbreaking to see what happened. And I'm very angry. I have a lot of words. I'd rather not get into that yet, but I'm very angry with the turnout, with the involvement, and I think that the capacity that the experts had to do more and didn't. There's a lot of anger towards that, and I hope that with the next encounter that we have with a whale that's stranded on the beach, that we can do better.
I so appreciate your passion. I appreciate you sharing. And I again, same as with Austin, I can't imagine how hard that was for everyone there. And I want every one of us to find a way to get there faster, do better, figure out better ways, because the people who currently are in charge of it aren't going to do anything and can't get there in time. So, yeah. Thank you. I really appreciate you. I wanted to share Monica's intro real quick before we jump to, I think, the last intro. Monica, your signal's a little sketchy, so if you're okay, I'm going to just read your intro. It says you're a rebel-rousing grassroots political organizer, and you were moderating the live stream for several hours. She has experience in lobbying and change and ready to work on changing laws and developing a new model for whale rescue. And Elle, you mentioned your marketing background. Both of those things are super important. There was tons of confusion about, do they need help? Do they not need help? What do they need? Is the whale dead? Is the whale not dead? Like all this stuff. And I think timely updates, timely accurate updates on what's happening and what's needed could make a world of difference. There were people just waiting for calls. So please don't minimize whatever your skills are. We need all of it, right? Okay. I really, really appreciate everybody. And I think when we come together like this, it'll break through that wall that I just hear so many people who are like, oh, well, we don't have the funds. We don't have the equipment. We don't have this and that and that. It's there. It's there waiting. We just need to organize better and do something because honestly, especially a whale that would have been alive if it weren't for us. The entangling part of it makes it even more heartbreaking. It's like we killed that whale multiple times. I think we owed it to Pickles to do more faster because it was our fault that he was entangled. My understanding is there was nothing otherwise wrong with the whale from the reports, like no illness of any kind. So we did this. And I do think in that case, we owe it to like throw everything out there and really make an effort. So I do appreciate every one of you very much. Jenny Nelson, do you want to introduce yourself?
Can you guys hear me this time?
Yes.
Okay. I'm like working from my camera on one and audio on the other tonight. So sorry about that. My name's Jenny Nelson. I live in Lincoln City on the Siletz River. I'm about an hour north of Yachats. My husband and I went down on Sunday morning and it was pretty chaotic. We were there prior to anybody showing up and putting up any barriers of access to Pickles. And I got to meet a lot of people that were kind of clustering, small groups here, small groups there, trying to figure out what should happen once the line was drawn that we couldn't cross. We had small pockets of people, like 5 here, 5 there, 3 here, that all wanted to participate in doing whatever they could to get Pickles back in the water. But we couldn't seem to manage to get a large group together, it was what we knew it would entail to make happen. There were some individuals who bravely went out there and at times were neck deep in water, really putting their own lives on the line to save the whale, which was, touching, risky, scary, touching. But we just really want to be a part of whatever we can to help facilitate a crew that's local here on the beach that can get to the North Coast, the South Coast. Really, we're Central Coast, so we can get anywhere, pretty quickly and want to be a part of whatever team we can to make things maybe a little bit smoother the next time.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to come from a place of judgment as it pertains to the different groups, just because I know that there's people that are, animal doctors that were there at one point. I know that there were teams there that were more recovery after the whale's deceased. And so I think each person had their role, but the dynamics of each person having their own role was difficult to bring us all together and just say to really talk about how we could help the whale in that moment. And for me, the frustration is that I guess that the resources that were there seems like they would have had the capacity to organize all of us and get us on the same page. And if there was potential to save the whale, that they should have been doing a better job organizing that. And if there wasn't, then why did we then allow the whale to go on as long as we did? Because it's like you get this mixed message of, well, there was nothing that we could do. They had no intent of getting the whale back in the water. And if that is true, then why did we allow the whale to suffer as long as we did? if it was indeed in suffering. And I don't begin to portray myself as a whale expert by any means. But it's really difficult to trust, I guess, what's being said when it just it's not making sense in my head. And for us that were there on the lines, there was that risk there was one particular woman that was doing a lot of screaming at the volunteers who had shown up to help. And she was pretty aggressive in asserting that she was calling the police on everybody. And there's that fear of like,
That's not helping.
yeah, I mean, I live in this community. I work in this community. I don't have a criminal record, and because of my job, I can't have a criminal record. And so there was, really realistic fears of helping, what that was going to look like if we helped.
It was coercion to stop people from assisting. And I do understand from their perspective, they are not allowed to organize people to go into a dangerous situation. They have liability issues and everything else. But at the same time, if you have a group of fully grown adults who are able to vote and they want to go and help save a life, I feel like you should let them do it.
Yeah,
and I think
they're putting themselves at risk.
At one point, one of the men who was filming for the YouTube channel, I forget what the name of his channel is off the top of my head right now, but he said, "You don't get to choose what risks we take. We're adults here," and it resonated in my head when he said that in that moment because it is true.
Yeah,
I think
it was
that
Oregon Coast Explored.
Yeah. No, it wasn't Oregon Coast Explored.
No, it was Rebel with a cause.
It was Rebel with a cause. Yes.
Okay.
I think that it would be helpful if someone has a good rapport with the Oregon Stranding Network people to talk to them about how that was handled that day, because I saw that on video. And that's typically something you do when people are bothering a little harbor seal pup, and the moms just put it up on the beach and you're wanting to get people to get away. But the way that was handled was completely inappropriate and offensive to the people that had been there, especially those that had been there through the night up to their chin in the ocean with that whale. And I think someone needs to have a conversation with Jim Rice about that.
I left a message for Jim Rice, but I was just wanting to ask if anybody had any idea that if there is a way for us to get certified, so when people come to push us out of the way, we can say, "No, I'm certified, you get out of the way."
I'm actually looking into that.
I took a certification. I think that it was through NOAA. I took a certification to be a level 1, to start as a level 1, and then you have to progress through to become up to a level 5. Right. So I did that on the first night when this kind of all happened, trying to do something proactive to see what it would entail. And I have not since then looked into what it entails to climb each step, but my certificate to be level 1 is already accomplished.
Oh, good.
And
so
this is where I'm hoping we can get NOAA to do a training here, Central Oregon Coast, to get more volunteers trained. Go ahead.
The Oregon Coast Explored, that gentleman, he's a local here as well. He is the one that actually posted the link to the free offering of that course. And so I jumped right on and took it. So
anyone looking for it is featured on the Facebook group page. So if you go to the featured, there is a link to that particular training. You can go and take it.
Where is that? I'm sorry.
On the group page under featured.
What, your group? Are you talking about your group?
The PNW Whale Rescue Network.
Oh, good. Okay. Thank you.
Sorry. So I did a little bit of research. If you're certified as a 501c3 whale rescue, you can legally go on the scene. You can do your work, but you have to be a permitted member of NOAA to do so.
Yeah.
And then I've digging into what it takes in the state of Oregon since I don't currently live there. But like I said, if you guys need any help, I can do all the behind the scenes stuff for you, but there are ways. And that's one of the reasons, just like Elle, it angers me profusely that things weren't done when they could have been done. So anything that you guys need for, legality, obviously I don't have a legal background, but I can do all the research. I can dig in, I can ask the questions, and, I work from home too, so I can do all of that if need be. So I just wanted to let you guys know there are ways, and if we can do it, where there's a will, there's a way.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I know that Oregon Coast Explored said in one of his posts that in the state of Oregon there's only a level 1, 2, and 3. So it's almost making it sound like it's difficult to attain a level 4 and 5 is.
So a level 4, you actually have to get a recommendation from a level 5 certified person. So
Rescue.
you have to work your way up and find a mentor, and you have to be on scene actively working with them to help disentangle animals in order to get that experience to move up, is what I'm reading.
Okay.
Can I ask a question? I'm wondering if one of the outcomes of this meeting could be to write to NOAA about the write to whoever we need to about the experiences that people had, and kind of demand that we are given a voice in how to assemble and help in the future. I mean, I feel like we need some way of having like this could happen again tomorrow. What do we do to mobilize an army up and down the coast to help, in who do we call? How do we organize? And how do we get the voices of the people that we need to support us? I'm sorry, I'm not speaking very well.
No, you're fine.
Yeah.
I get what you mean.
Yeah.
I wrote to the commander at NOAA, and he finally got back to me today. And what he did was give me the stranding number that I already had. So if somebody knows how to get through to people better than me, that would be great, because I don't think one person actually writing them a letter about it isn't going to help. And I just went to NOAA, and it was actually the ship commander. And I wrote him because none of the other phone numbers answered. We had problems with phones not answering, being disconnected. I'm going to try to work on that kind of stuff. It's like, why are your numbers? I'm actually going to go up there because I live in Waldport and try to get the right places to write to so we can all write them and call them and say, we've got to have answers for next time. There's going to be a next time.
Right. And that's why I really emphatically don't want this government funded to where government cuts result in just an absent network. I really do want this to be completely separate and independent of any government organization. I obviously having to work, in conjunction with them, in cooperation with them in some capacity, but not funded by them, not sort of subject to hirings and firings like a lot of the
dependent on
government
their whims.
are.
I'd love to make a comment. So I think SR3 is was an organization that was one of the actual rescue organizations, not just a research organization, not a local organ. I believe they're from California. I believe the name of the group from Washington was Cascade Research.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know of the funding for Cascade Research, but SR3, as far as I understand, and I have more to understand, but I believe that SR3 is an example of a relatively private organization that has a NOAA license and is doing very similar to what we are trying to get doing.
You're starting to break up there, but I do get what you're saying. So I think we lost him.
We're still there.
So yeah, I'm going to look up those organizations. Maybe they would be more willing to help us figure out how to do the same thing in Oregon than NOAA.
Yeah, and so I think that these would be good organizations to look to as examples. And I think that we also can consider that we need somebody that is probably a level 5, but I mean, I think that you could find somebody that's a level 5 and offer them $50,000 a year and have them live in Newport pretty happily. Like,
That cheap there?
Well, and if getting
like
the level 5 means going to Seattle and shadowing through a mentorship program, you find out how long it is. Like maybe that's doable. Maybe someone who lives in Newport can be, we can scholarship them or something to go do that so that we have someone. I do think there's lots of options. So,
And ideally
obviously
more than
Redmond.
one person, because the more volunteers we have capable of doing these things, the faster we can get on scene.
Yeah, I had I'm not gonna do a whole like screen share and everything. I do want to eventually talk about like lists of things to organize. People have talked about wetsuits and buckets and life jackets and we had somebody from Clark County Search and Rescue that I want to talk to about how we keep people safe when we're working in the tides, how to if we can hook life jackets together, if we can have spotters, if we all the kind of and obviously this is like once we're authorized, right? I'm not gonna like I'm not gonna get myself in trouble and say anything like really public here. I am not okay with anything that would harm whales. So I think we all need training, and that's my primary focus first, right?
Yeah.
Once we get through that, we'll look at rescue options and organization and stuff. But it's just it's got to improve. So I think it's really important that everyone knows I don't want ownership of this in any way. I don't like I want someone who knows more about marine rescues to be in charge of this. I'm just happy to help, like most of the rest of you. But if you know someone who's like, yes, I used to run a nonprofit for whale rescues over on the East Coast. I'd love to be in charge. Please send them like right here.
Nice.
So do
Yeah.
I kind of feel like before we're able to like even get a team together, we need to understand the legal recourse because I think that was the hugest apprehension of people getting involved. And I know people that I helped that had hypothermia when they were coming out of the waters and they were yelled and screamed at the entire time that they were trying to assist that whale. They were being told that the police were being called,
Right.
and they were being screamed at the entire time.
Right.
We never saw any police show up at all, which
I
which
kind of
in my brain was indicative to me that there was a reason why they weren't coming if they were being called, like if that wasn't their wheelhouse or what.
Right.
But I
They
think
showed up.
understanding the legality of that so we know the next time, as long as we can form a group that's willing to be there, that we're not under the threat of arrest or
Right.
losing our jobs or our status in our community or whatever that might be.
They
I feel bad
actually
for the
showed
police.
up on Saturday night when that first crew of locals showed up. They showed up around 1 in the morning. It was ODFW and a bunch of other cops that said that they're given this whole spiel about how they advise us to not be there, but they can't stop us. And
Oh, good.
and technically, what we were doing is not so much illegal as it was just not in their favor.
Sure.
Mhm.
Because it's risky and it was
Because
late
it's
and
risky,
dark.
and it's ironic because another person said that they asked the police officer said that and said that if you are so concerned with our safety, do you mind providing us with some resources such as flashlights or some life vests that might aid us in this thing that we're trying to do here? And they said, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to encourage this behavior.
Of course not.
So I think the lady who was yelling at everyone that she's going to call the cops on them was out of line. Quite frankly, I mean, you have a bunch of people who are their hearts are breaking for the struggling animal, And then at the other end of the line, I can just imagine the police officer who answers the call, and he's like, "You want me to come out and arrest a bunch of sopping wet cold people because they're trying to help save a whale?"
Yeah.
And I just don't see a police force responding to that positively.
Well,
You know, and that's like, we need to check the legalities and make sure that everyone's safe and no one's going to get arrested. I totally agree. I just think the whole situation was mishandled.
Well, and if I
and we
can
need to talk
again,
about that.
hi, it's Valerie. If I could really stress, I think that person was a volunteer with the Oregon Stranding Network. And Jim Rice supervises all of the volunteers. And I think that something should be said to Jim Rice, because that approach, when I saw that, you know, with the work I've done with wildlife, I have done a lot of environmental education and outreach, and especially when we're trying to resolve conflict issues. And you cannot treat the caring public that way. You know, part of the work that the Stranding Network does when they send the volunteers out into the field is public relations. And so you want to try to engage people and get them to care about the wild animals, not to sit there and berate them. And when I saw that happening on video, I felt pretty confident. I knew who that person was and that they're part of the Stranding Network. They're one of the main volunteers. And it just was one more thing that sent the trajectory of bad feelings continuing down that road of bad feelings. And it was
Does
out
anybody, do you guys think that the social media, I think that was the biggest stress for me. And I wondered if anybody knows how we used to do things in the old days with the phone trees. And if we had people we could call and they would have correct information, because there's nothing but fighting on there. I would post something positive, a fisherman would attack me. But if we had just call the right person on the phone tree, you don't have to go through all that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm
So
old fashioned.
when I was looking at research this week, it was some of the research was indicating that like that's what you don't want to do. Like I understand that that's how you can get the biggest group together quickly, because we did not have a network that I'm aware of that could form swiftly in the way that social media managed that to happen over this with this whale. But my understanding is that like you want to be able to do it swiftly without alerting a whole bunch of officials first. You want to have that rescue network in place, which we didn't have. And so the fastest way to do that was to get on social media in a group where there's 38,000 people, right? And see who in our region was willing to come. So that's what happened. But it almost seems like the group that you guys have created is a platform that maybe once it's established who's wants to participate in a positive way moving forward, and who's maybe just here to take things back to other people or whatever. I think it needs to be a trusted network of who really is willing to put their boots on and run out the door at midnight if we get a phone call or an announcement on Facebook or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, trusted network. I love that. That's what we need, is a trusted network. So, yeah.
Yeah, because there was a lot of stuff going on there, and in some ways it was really positive. And then the flip side of that also is, of course, that when you're willing to stand up for something, whatever that might be, whatever the conviction may be, that when you post that on social media, that's a huge platform on Facebook. The risk is that you are always going to have people that are on the opposite side, right? And you just have to learn. I mean, I put a post up last night trying to find out who the excavator was that showed up. And it was literally, that's all I asked for, was to find out who the excavator was that showed up. And it was like just blah, 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 blah. And like 50% was positive and 50% was negative. And I'm just like, okay, I found out who it was. I'm going to take this post down now.
Yeah, that's what I did. I took down things, but you know, one morning I saw we need pullers, so I couldn't. I'm too little. I'm going to be in the way. I posted it, went about doing my errands, and when I came back and looked, the post was completely it was completely destroyed with no, they don't, and blah blah blah. And I went, oh my God, not that many people showed up to pull, so I wasn't watching it. I had to go to a doctor appointment. But yeah, I think the trusted network is the key here, because if we have one that we know is, has the correct information, we can ignore the rest. Because but anyway.
I think say trained person, even if there's not a rescue operation going on, even if it's just to tell people there's no chance to rescue, it's dead or something, somebody on site who can be trusted to communicate accurate information, and not have to sift through the online madness, would be really nice. I'd love for this group to become a trusted resource. But I hear what people are saying about not in a broadcast kind of way, like enact the appropriate people at the right times sort of thing. And then because I don't know that calling everyone at once is always going to be the best thing. Now you have a bigger crowd to control. So it'd be nice if it was more selective.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said,
a spokesperson of some kind.
Yeah, there you go. Spokesperson.
Right.
Somebody designated to go out there and interact.
And to be honest, we need somebody that can navigate both sides of the coin without getting emotionally disturbed, I guess, because the fact of the matter is that people that maybe have opposing views from us and what we want to do are going to show up. And so that's why it's important, I think, for us to understand the law if we decide to step in and assist, but then also to be able to navigate that world confidently with a group who may show up yelling and screaming at the volunteers that we've got together, that we can assure our volunteer group what their legal rights are to help this mammal. And and then to be able to communicate that to the other side, that we know what our rights are. This is what we're going to do. We're going to try and do it in an organized fashion that causes as little harm as possible to the mammal, that is as safe as we can possibly make it for the humans. And that's what we're going to do. Like, please don't get in our way.
Well, that's what I'm here. Yeah, we got this. Get back yourself. You're a good speaker, Jenny.
Thank you.
Speaking of a spokesperson.
The two
So
scariest
Jerry
moments of the whole
suggested.
morning for me-
Oh, go ahead.
The two scariest moments in that whole experience all night long for me, there was a moment where I was explaining to two people who were very well-meaning volunteers that showed up, and we explained to them, we were saying how dangerous it was, and they genuinely asked why we thought it was dangerous. And I
Oh, we lost him.
Yeah.
We lost him.
There he is, coming back.
Oh, he's coming back. Austin and Ellie, I want to say real quickly how much I appreciate you being there that night. And I was just laying in bed crying. I couldn't do anything. So thank you.
Yeah. So anyway, I was explaining to these two people that had no idea what a sneaker wave was, and I was having to explain to them where we're standing right now. We could disappear into 4 or 5 feet of water at any moment. That was very scary to know that these people were putting themselves into this situation, and they genuinely did not understand how close every single one of us was to death. And that's something that they need to understand. The second scariest moment for me of that whole experience was when it finally became light.
Oh dear. One more time.
We're gonna give him a second.
There he is.
There we go.
100 or 200 people come running down the beach with wonderful intentions and absolutely zero context for the situation, and not understanding that the tide had already passed and our best chance was gone. And at this point, you were just pushing on a whale against the wishes and best advice of the two vets that had already showed up on scene at that point.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think that it's very important that we're not putting out an alarm to everyone. We're putting an alarm out to people who are vetted and actually understand the situation that we're going into.
Right. Right. And I don't know exactly what the mechanism for this would be, but it has to be that everyone understands there is no way to do this without working together. There needs to be some kind of hierarchy as far as, the vet's in charge and things like that. And if there's heavy equipment that shifts and things like that. And I really do think there should be sort of stages. If it's still entangled, can we disentangle it? That the entanglement team is there, to try and make sure it doesn't get beached. And then if it's onshore, then the beach, assess the beach and go from there. We need a hierarchy. We need people who are going to be happy listening so that we can work together safely, right? So, and I think we're going to bring together a whole diverse group, and especially when you have both the sort of grassroots, environmentalist, a little anarchic sort of like crowd, along with the more sciencey, bookish type A crowd. Like we're going to have a little bit of, we need to communicate well, like very effectively, and have systems in place to keep everyone safe. But and those systems are what will make it go quickly. We'll know what to do. Everyone arrives on site and kind of knows their role and things like that. So I totally agree, like not a mass broadcast for everyone in Oregon, but a really solid network, so that for whatever we need in each case, we can call the right people and everyone works together.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that, Austin. And I will say, like, people don't understand how scary the Pacific Ocean is. I've lived on a lot of coasts. The Pacific Ocean, well, especially up here. Hawaii and here, some of the roughest ocean I've ever been around, the Atlantic, the Gulf, just absolutely don't touch it. And people really do not understand how scary it is. So thank you for pointing that out.
Could we develop like a procedure manual that everybody has? I mean, I think that could be a really great outcome, is that we have some kind of procedure manual that says, if this, then this.
Yeah.
These are the tools that we use to deploy to try to help the whale in different circumstances.
Yeah.
I totally agree. And we'll definitely be looping in the marine mammal, rescue people for all that kind of stuff. And then in future talks, we'll discuss like what does the next rescue look like under similar circumstances. We're definitely out of time for today. So what I'm trying to figure out the best way for us to meet again. If we want to just do regular updates, Monica, you are pointing
On Zoom.
on Zoom. I mean, it's just
Yeah,
like an after work meeting.
in here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would like to see the ability to raise your hand though, so that we could keep it a little more focused.
Yeah.
I don't see that option, and I don't know.
So if you go to the bottom of your screen, there's like a react, and then there's I'm trying to
I
see
don't
what it
see
is.
it,
I think it's
though.
under more.
I don't see the hand raiser.
Huh.
Okay.
I
Maybe
found
it's
it by
something I
touching-
have to set.
You might have to, but I
Yeah.
think it would help keep it a little more focused.
Yeah.
If you had the ability to.
Okay, so I'm just going to keep scheduling regular kind of open group meetings. Come if you can with your updates. They'll be recorded. Other people can hear them. And so I'll probably schedule one for tomorrow afternoon. And just if you can make it, that's great. Otherwise, you'll catch the next one.
Are you gathering people's names and email addresses or anything? Because I'm not always on Facebook. So if you're doing that and I can get an invite and email, that is ideal for
Yes.
a blast.
So I feel like, Karina, once this closes, do we keep the chat? If people put
I
their...
am not sure the chat stays, but if anyone who wants to be on that list, please direct message me. That is the fastest way to get on the list. Like Jenny, I have you from this meeting, but I don't have anything else information wise.
Just
I'm trying to
email.
get everyone that's here.
Just email pnwwhalerescue@gmail.com. And I'll add if you give me my most important stuff is email, phone number, and kind of your location. I don't need your address, but I want to have these people are in this area. They can be there fastest, sort of, if you're comfortable sharing that information. And then if there's anything, other than sort of two hands and heart, that you want specifically noted that you have, if your Jeep has a winch on it, if you like anything at all, really. It's we're just trying to gather what people have and are willing to share. So
And something
Karina
that
put the email in the chat if you didn't catch that.
Yes, thank you. Jenny also did. Something else that was brought up is I've had a few people who are like, like I'm elderly, I can't really do much, but I really want to be a part of like, even if it's getting the word out or whatever. I'm like, something that could actually be really useful is childcare. Because a lot of our able-bodied people are parents, and sometimes you need someone to watch your kids. And so if there's a local person nearby who's like, I can, if there's a whale, I can keep kids. Like I
There we
can
go.
keep them busy and stuff. Like that would be a huge help too. So it's not that you have to be on the beach helping. You can help in other ways. You can bring firewood for a fire to keep people warm. You can bring blankets. You can bring oranges and water. Like there's so many things that are needed for these kind of events. This is a crisis situation that we are trying to remedy, and we need all kinds of help. So
Yeah. Okay.
if you think you can't do much, like you might just not be thinking of the right things. So everyone can contribute in some way.
Okay.
All right. Thank you everyone for coming. I will talk
Thank
to you
you.
again soon.
Okay. Thank you.
Y'all have a great night.
you.